What's going on? It's your guy J. Hope all is well. Love and light, everyone. I'm a little tired, guys. My day is over. Just getting back into the swing of being, going for a month, trying to get myself readjusted to my schedule with the window cleaning business. Working for the city, taking care of autistic guy. Shit is finally catching up to me. So I'm a little tired. I'm off from my evening job, so after I get off this live, I'm gonna go inside and just relax and enjoy the rest of my evening and get a good night's sleep. Yeah, but I wanted to give a couple of updates. Yeah, give a couple of updates for you guys that are just tuning in. And for those of you guys just tuning in, be sure to hit the like, hit the share, and hit the subscribe button. Yeah. So with that being said, I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm gonna be heading back to Dominican Republic this Friday. This coming Friday, I'll be heading down and I'll be there from Friday to Monday. It's gonna be a quick turnaround for me. I'm only going down there because I got a sale. I had one of my viewers from the channel purchase some land, and he's not going to be able to go down and seal the deal. So he asked me if I could fly down and take care of the contract for him, and then we'll meet back up here in New York. So that's why I'm going down, and then I want to RA, hey, caught another live. RA, what's going on, my guy? What's going on? Yeah, I'm just informing everybody. I sent you a WhatsApp. You did? I don't. Bro, I got so many people that hit me up from WhatsApp. So just make sure you let me know it's RAs. That way I know it's you. But yeah. So as I was saying, I'm heading down Friday to go and seal this deal for one of the viewers on my channel. Jose, what's going on? What's good, Brody? He's buying 2,500 square meters in Puerto Plata. Great location. Greetings from Island Javi. What's going on? For those of you guys just tuning in, be sure to hit the like and hit the share and subscribe. Yeah, I'm going down primarily to seal the deal for him, only because he's not going to be able to make it until like June. So I told him, don't worry, bro, I got you. I'm going to head on down, get the contract signed with the lawyer, and then I'll bring the contracts back to New York, and he's going to meet me in New York, and then, we'll go from there. But, and then also, I paid, for those of you guys who don't know, I bought 650 square meters. So they cleaned out my lot. I paid the guy to barb wire off my lot, and then clean it. So I'll be going to check that out as well, Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be a quick turnaround. I got some things that I'm doing with my house as well. And guys, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I got into I guess you could say July to figure out whether or not I'm gonna sell my crib. Now I got two motivated buyers. I do, and I'm supposed to close in August on the house, and I'm kind of having cold feet. I'm kind of having cold feet only because I made a big investment with this house, and yeah, they're offering me a good price, but I know that if I sit on it for a little while, that I will get what I really, really want for it. So that's kind of my dilemma right now. I was talking to, yo, what's up? This is James from Jamestown, NYC. What's going on, bro? Put it this way, it's a good price. It's a good price, but I know that I can get more for it if I hold on to it for maybe about 2 or 3 years, I do plan on starting another project with the land that I just bought, So I got options. G Styles, what's going on, bro? Yo, G Styles, I'm heading. I don't know if you spoke to Pat or not, but I'm heading back down on Friday. He wants that property. So I'm gonna go and handle the paperwork and all of that for him, and then we're gonna meet up when he gets back to New York. I know he's still in Jamaica. He sent his brother to go and look at. I don't think you saw. No, you didn't see that property, G Styles. This is another piece of property that I sent to him that he really likes. So I'm gonna go and seal a deal for him. And as a matter of fact, bro, we got to get up. We got to get up. You in New York, I'm in New York. There's no reason why, we shouldn't be connecting, and especially for a lot of you guys that's on the East Coast that's in New York, man. It's a brotherhood, it's a brotherhood, and it's a lot of us that's trying to make investments in DR. And I think that for those who are in the NYC area, I think that we should be linking up, every other month, just like having a social, having socials, and just having that interchange of encouragement, man. I believe each one teach one, and we can always bounce off each other in terms of ideas and and things of that nature. If we can do it in DR, I know a lot of us, our schedules won't allow us to get down there as often as we would like. You know what I mean? But I think that we should all be connecting. G Styles, Jose, and there's a few other brothers that I know. That I have connected with. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe we could do something like that, maybe like once a month. And if y'all are with it, y'all, for those of you guys who are on here, y'all have my WhatsApp number. Just reach out to me on WhatsApp, and let's try to make it happen, for sure. I say go with Incho Fox. I say go with what you feel is right, man. Yeah, and I'm feeling like, what? I think I'm gonna just hold on to it, and enjoy it for a while. I done put all this time and effort, into building this crib. I think that I deserve to at least enjoy it, and then, decide later on what I wanted. Especially since I done, when you got two motivated buyers, man. If I decide to sell it later on, that's just more money in the bank for me. It's just more money in the bank. So, yeah, I think I'm just gonna hold on to it for a while. You know, yeah. So that's where I'm at now. Anything could change from here, from now till then. But Rick James, what's going on, bro? Anything could change between now and then, but more than likely, I'm just gonna hold on to it. You know, and then my builder's actually there right now doing some miscellaneous things to the crib. Yeah, so I think, once this is all said and done, man, I'm gonna be starting my project. And I've spoken to you guys about it. I planned on doing with the land that I have now. Once I get down there, you guys will get more of a clear view of what it looks like, only because there was a lot of bushes and trees and stuff. So, you'll really be able to see the view and all of that. So I have been pretty much connecting with a few other brothers and sisters who are building, multi units in Puerto Plata, and just kind of, getting a little bit knowledge and information in terms of, what avenues I should go down. You know what I mean? And this is what I tell you guys. It's always best to get advice from, those who are in the game. Can you confirm your WhatsApp? Yeah, it's 347-740-6350. Yeah, so, it's always good to get, sound advice from people who are actually doing it. I'm building a house, but I've never done, the whole apartments and all of that, So I got two expats that I know personally that, I've been talking to on a regular, just kind of getting their advice. And, it's helpful information. It's actually, helping me to navigate and getting their perspectives, it's going to be a smooth transition for me once I get started, even down to like the architectural plans. And I told you guys this before, if you're looking to build, To save you some money, it's always best to go on Fiverr. They have a lot of architects and that can do the same kind of work that they do in Dominican Republic, and you're paying half the fraction. You know what I'm saying? So I already have a visual of what I'm trying to do now with my project. I plan on doing 6 apartments, no more than that, and I'm gonna do three bedrooms on the first level, 2 bedrooms on the second, and then 3 on the third. And I plan on keeping 1 apartment for myself. You know, I already kind of have an idea how much it's going to cost me, but I need to have things. I got a rough estimate, but once I get these architectural plans done, then I'll have a better idea, of what I need to break ground. Yeah. So everything takes time when it comes to building. I just tell you guys from somebody that's been doing it, take your time. Take your time. Pace yourself. It's not easy, especially, if you single, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing this, pretty much on my own, and I've been transparent with you guys from the gate. Like I pretty much went in debt doing this shit, but now my credit score is picking back up. It's to the point where, I literally, guys, and I think I spoke to you guys about this. Yeah, I went in debt doing this shit, but now it's to the point where creditors are sending me credit cards 2 years later. So yeah, things is definitely looking up for me, for sure. And I got options, like I said, if I want to, and that was another reason why I said, let me sit on my house, only because, I can always use if I wanted to, I could always borrow off my home to start my next project. You know what I mean? And this is why I highly encourage you. And the brother that I'm going down to seal a deal for, he's coming to New York because I encouraged him. I said, yo, bro, you're starting to make investments in Dominican Republic. It's time for you to open up an account. It's time for you to open up an account. So I'm going to meet with him here in New York, and I'm going to take him to Baron Reserves in Washington Heights, so that he can open up his account. And that way, he can transfer, his money, without any problems. Now, and I'll tell you guys, transferring money, once you open up your account, I can only speak for Baron Reserves. I don't know about, any other bank, but it only takes 1 day. It only takes 1 day for that money to transfer. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm gonna help him out with that. But yeah, as I was saying with the house, I feel like holding on to it, I think it'll benefit me more in the long run. Because like I said, later on, I can borrow off of it to do something else if I decide to do that. And especially banking with Baron Reserves, you wanna open up that account right away so that you start establishing credit history, in the Dominican Republic, so that by the time you get down there, you don't already got credit history. I know, a few expats that has credit cards and everything, So this is what you want to do. You want to be able to establish credit history so that, if in case, later on you want to take out a loan or get an apartment, the banks won't hesitate giving that to you. Who is doing the plans? Wait, what's the last 4 digits of your number again? I think I have it wrong. 6350, RA. And who's doing my plans? Like I said, I went on Fiverr, Fiverr. That's where you go and get plans done for those of you guys is looking to get architectural plans. Plumbing, electrical, they do it all, I already have the platform. So I'm working with, some people on Fiverr because what I want them to do a 3D model of the kind of, building that I want, okay? And in that way, interior and exterior, so that people have an idea, of what I'm promoting on my channel. You know what I mean? You the man. I appreciate you, RA. But yeah, it took me 3 years to get this far. Actually, I started my construction in March of 2022, and it's been a journey to say the least, but I'm still young. I'm 45 years old, And I this is why I try to preach to the younger generation, those who are 30 and up. Y'all still got time. By the time I'm 50, man, my goal is just to be sitting pretty, and I'm working my ass off now, so that I can get all of this done before I hit 50 years old. I want to be chilling in Dominican Republic and without carefree, not having to worry about nothing. So I tell people, take advantage of the opportunity now, only because there's no telling, what tomorrow prices are going to be in Dominican Republic. I was just having a conversation with a viewer of my. Actually, I met him when I was in DR. Solid dude, lives in where does he live? I think he lives in not North Dakota, um, somewhere in the Midwest. I forgot what. See, this is one of the reasons why I got to get the hell out of New York. The sirens and all of that. I'm just tired. But nah, this brother, he's trying to weigh out, whether or not he should invest in Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico. And he's a veteran, and see, the thing about it is, for him being a vet, he can get a VA loan, for housing in Puerto Rico. So this is why he's looking to go that route. But I told him, I said, man, you got to weigh out the pros and cons. I've been to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is just not an option for me. It's just not an option. I find that Dominican Republic is just more of a vibe. It's more of a vibe. Even my coworker that's from Puerto Rico, he went to DR for the first time, I think 2 weeks ago, when he came back, and I'm like, bro, how was your trip? And he told me, he said, yo, I grew up in Puerto Rico. He said, I'm going to tell you, he's like, Puerto Rico ain't got shit on Dominican Republic. And this is somebody who's from, who was raised in Puerto Rico, grew up, and then came to the States, once he became a teenager, And yeah, he said it, so everybody has their own idea of how they want to live. But my advice to you guys is, whatever decision you do make, just make a solid choice before you, start making investments. Okay. Even in parts that people, I would say, non-desirable cities that people are starting to move into. I went to Bayaguana, which is like maybe 4.5 hours from Puerto Plata. I would say an hour to 45 minutes away from Santo Domingo. This is the outskirts now, smaller city, but people are starting to move into that, cities that you wouldn't think. And I believe that every city has something to offer. And this is why I always tell you guys, don't get, if you're spending 2 weeks and 3 weeks at a time in Dominican Republic, there's no reason why you shouldn't be moving around to experience the culture in other cities. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't cost you anything to get on Carib Tour bus and travel to another city to see what that city is about. I kind of fell in love, with Bayaguana. I really did. And I could see myself having some investment properties there. And it's an up and coming city. Bayaguana is pretty much known for, waterfalls and rivers and stuff. So it's a whole vibe out there, man. It's a whole vibe. It's a small city, but everybody's friendly. I went to the club. I went to the club out there. I had a time, to say the least, man. I had a time, and I was telling my bro that lives out there. I'm already got him on it, looking for properties and stuff like that. And to believe it or not, properties in that city, or land, I should say, in that city, is kind of on a pricey side. I'm like, damn, And he told me, he said, man, we got Italians moving in here, Europeans moving in here. That's one thing I give the Europeans credit for, man. They are not, they're not frugal when it comes to, buying properties in cities that, we wouldn't want to live in. And then once they start investing in these cities, it starts to become up and coming. And then we done missed our mark only because, we're overlooking certain things. You know what I'm saying? And I think we have to get out of that mindset. These cities DR, like I said, Puerto Plata is becoming overpopulated. you know. So it's time for us to start researching other cities to see what else is out there, especially, when you got cities that are developing and the price of land is, inexpensive. You should be capitalizing on that now, now. And, being out there for a month, as I said, I fell in love with that city. I was out there for about 6 days during Semana Santa week, Holy Weekend. Yeah, so I really, really enjoyed myself. So I already said, once money starts flowing in, because I know it's gonna flow. I know it's gonna flow. I got two projects coming up. Not just my project. I'm working on my project. I'm hoping that maybe 2026, spring of 2026, I should be starting my project, But I got two other projects that I'm doing. Two viewers that, we're going to be building their house. So you guys are going to be seeing all of this. You guys are going to, it's just so much going on with J-Day, and for me, like I said, timing is everything, guys. Timing is everything, and I just advise you guys to work hard now, do what all you can do to secure something, and it might not be where you want it to be, but at least you can say, you know what, I got a piece of property here, you know. Even the 650 square meters, man. If I can't break ground the way I want to, I got enough fruits and vegetables on that property where I can make money off of it. So, no matter what, I'm going to make money off of that property. Jose, they want 300,000 to build in Puerto Rico, and good luck finding builders. The wealthy people keeps them busy. Huh? And I'm sure, because that's what I was telling. That's what I was telling my bro. I said, I don't know. I said, I don't know the price of materials in Puerto Rico, but I'm like, it's a commonwealth. So I'm thinking, the price of materials is on the high side. And he said he can build a house out there for about 50,000 USD, I don't know how true it is. I have no interest in even investing in Puerto Rico. I'm going to be honest, only because, the electrical, the power company is shit out there. In DR, I will tell you, from traveling to DR for almost 10 years, the power outages barely go out now, even in the barrios. And my apartment is in a barrio. I was there for a month. I can tell you how many times the power went out since I was there that month. And one time. But I'm hearing in Puerto Rico, it's bad, and then they're charging the locals a lot of money, for electric, only because it's privately owned, So when these private owned companies, they pretty much do whatever the hell they want to do. You know what I mean? So it's becoming a problem there. And then also Puerto Rico, they got too much hurricanes. You don't really hear, not too many natural disasters happening in Dominican Republic. Yeah, in Santo Domingo, it's a flooding problem. And that's another thing, guys. When you're buying land, you need to research wherever you're looking to buy. You need to research that town and ask the locals, because they can tell you better than anybody. You never go by what the realtor is telling you, because you want to make sure that you're not in a flood zone. There's a lot of places in Santo Domingo that gets flooded out badly, So you wanna avoid, all of that if you can. And in my suggestion too, because how I have it set up, and I got the idea. Shout out to Shania. She's she's building multi units in Guandolio. She's in phase 2 right now. But, she gave me that idea. She said, your house, your property is on, you got mountain view. She says, I don't think you'll have a problem with the flooding, but, just as a safety precaution, and this is what she did. She did, her units are high up. Like, basically, you're parking under the building. You see what I'm saying? To avoid flooding, you know what I mean? So I think I'm gonna go that route. I think it was a great idea, and I'm stealing her idea when it comes to that. Yeah. I think I'm gonna have my building high up, so whereas people can park under the building opposed to, having just a regular parking lot, just as a safety precaution to avoid flooding, Yeah. You guys are in here. Be sure to hit the like, share, and subscribe. Nueva Jers, what's going on, bro? What's going on? So yeah, like I said, I'll be out there Friday to Monday. I'm going to showcase as many properties as I can. Y'all already know Dominicans don't work on Sundays, so my time is limited. I'm going to try to squeeze in as many appointments as I can between Friday and Saturday, and maybe even Monday, because I plan on flying out Monday evening. Yeah, yeah. And then also, I'm going to be Airbnb-ing my apartment out as well, guys. So if those of you guys who are looking for a bachelor pad, and you don't mind living, staying in the barrio, I will tell you, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all, so you know what to expect. For those who are looking to book my Airbnb, I do have to buy an inverter for hot water. I guess you could say I'm Dominicanized because I stayed out there the whole month, with no hot water. I mean, I had a Tanako, so during the day it wasn't so bad because the Tanako was black and that sun was beating that Tanako. So when the water that was coming out, it was pretty much lukewarm, so it wasn't so bad, for me. But I already know, when you're renting out to foreigners, we need to have the essentials. So that's why I didn't put it on Airbnb as of yet, because I got to get that the hot water inverter installed. But once I do that, it'll be up, for rent, So if anybody's looking, for sure, yeah. So that's what it is, man. I'm just wanting to give you guys a few updates. Now that I'm back home, I really haven't done any lives, only because, guys, I'm on my grind. I'm on my grind. I got a vision, and when you have a vision, guys, don't let nobody stop you from your vision. There have been along my journey, I have had people, discourage me. White family, so-called friends, and even some viewers that don't follow me, but just praying for the next man's downfall. You have those kind of people. And when you encounter those kind of people, you just keep it moving. You just keep it moving, and don't let nobody discourage you from your dream. Your dream is your dream, and can't nobody take that from you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm just getting myself together now. Time is clicking. You know what I'm saying? Before you know it, I'll be on that plane heading down to DR. And if any of you guys want to hook up, as I said, I touched down Friday afternoon. I got to look at my itinerary. I think I'll be in Puerto Plata around 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. So if any of you guys just want to hook up, I'll probably, the weekend, Sunday, I'm definitely hitting the river. That's like a ritual for me, man. Hitting the rivers and stuff. I mean, for those of you guys that just go to Puerto Plata for Sosua, y'all gotta really start thinking about other places, man. You really do. So I always say Sosua is but this small. You know what I'm saying? It's but this small. There's other places to see. Beautiful women in other cities, man. And I, honestly, if you're the type of man or woman, that's looking for a quality partner, you might want to start, venturing out, because I've met some quality women, in Bayaguana, to say the least. Afro Latinas. That's my thing. I like women of color. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you gotta venture out and see what's out there, opposed to what you're used to. And then when you're traveling to these other cities, the cost is everything is cheaper. Airbnbs, the food. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, when I went to Guayabana for 6 days, man, I spent no, and I'm not shitting you guys. I spent what, $200. You know, I didn't spend a whole lot of money because what the locals mainly do is on the weekends they like to go to the river and hang out. You know, you buy your food, you find, you know, I had a little shorty to cook. You know, when we went to the river, they cooked. You know what I mean? Everything is affordable. You know, it's not. I find that when you're in Dominican Republic, I never bank. I never, you know, I never leave broke. You know, I always. I sometimes I do spend more than what I anticipate on spending. I mean, who does it? You on fucking vacation, you know, but you know, now that I've been traveling for going on 10 years, I'm trying to transition, you know, myself into living like a local opposed to living, you know, like going there as if I'm on vacation. And I did, you know, when I was there for the month, I'll tell you, my rent, I'm paying $191 a month. My light bill, I got my neighbor downstairs. We already had a deal. I told her, listen, I'm not here full time. You know, I'm in and out. So I gave her like $20. Here you go. That's enough. That was enough to pay her and my light bill for the month. You know, internet service, you're looking at 1,400 pesos a month. You know, I got high speed internet for 1,400 pesos a month. You know, so, you know, the cost of living in DR is really not that much. I mean, and you know, I'm not connected to the water, you know, the city water. So right now I'm using the Tanaco. But once my builder and them connected, I don't have to worry about spending money on water. You know what I mean? But it doesn't cost that much to fill up a Tanaco. We're talking about 500 pesos to fill up a Tanaco. You know, so, you know, my monthly expenses in Dominican Republic is like no more than $350. You know, and that's including rent, cable, and lights. Yeah. Don't live too fancy. They will chase you out. Exactly, bro. And the truth expert, I appreciate that. You know, because a lot of us have this preconceived notion that, you know, we have to live a certain kind of a lifestyle. I'm modest. I am a modest dude. I don't have a problem living in the barrios, man. You know, and where my apartment is, you mind your business. You don't give nobody no trouble. People high and by. That's it. You know, you don't gotta. I don't. You know, especially if you're looking to move in the barrios, the last thing that you want to do is draw unwanted attention to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Women, we don't have to do much as foreigners to bag a chick out there. I mean, let's just be real. You know, being a foreigner is enough. Being a gringo is enough. You know, you don't have to wear all the designer shit and, you know, be all flashy. You know, you don't got to do all of that. You really don't. You know, but yeah, you know, you can live really good out there on, you know, for a single person. $800, because that's what I spent when I was out there. You know, and the whole month that I was out there, I spent under $1,000. You know, and we're talking about I had a chef come in and cook, you know, 3 times. You know, she made like each time she came, she made 2 meals. You know, that lasted me for about four days. You know what I'm saying? Each time. You know, so that was including a chef to come in and cook for me. You know, I paid her to wash my clothes and like that. You know, you don't really have to, you know, spend, like I said, a whole lot of money. You know, I didn't wash clothes. I didn't do any of that shit. Nothing. And then if you want somebody to come in and clean, you know, these are luxuries. You know what I'm saying? And you can charge $1,000, 1,000 pesos to have somebody come in and clean your apartment and wash your clothes and cook. You know, 1,000 pesos, you have somebody come in and cook. You know, so it doesn't cost a whole lot of money, you know, to have somebody come in. You know, especially if you one of those people. Let me see. I was in San Cristobal my fam, a woman, a woman out there, you know. And how is San Cristobal, truth expert? It's on my bucket list. Play one of see. I like to go to cities that I'm like, okay, if I can't enjoy the beach, I got to be in a city that has at least a river. You know what I'm saying? Some kind of body of water. I can't. This is why Santiago is not an option for me. You know, and Santo Domingo, yeah, you know, at least they got Boca Chica, but Santiago don't have shit. You know what I'm saying? They don't. They don't have. They do have a river, but I hear it's not so great. You know, so those kind of places I couldn't move. La Vega, I couldn't move there. You know, like I said, I got to move to a city where there's a body of water where I can go and enjoy on the weekend. I don't want to have to travel 2 or 3 hours or even an hour, to say the least, to enjoy the fucking beach. You know what I mean? Yeah. So everybody has their own idea how they want to live, but I always tell you guys, do your research. They're building the monorail, where it's taking you from Santo Domingo to Santiago. So those cities along the monorail, start looking into those cities. You know what I mean? And if you're a person that doesn't mind, living inland where you don't have to have you don't really care about being next to a beach or a river, then it might be cheaper for it. I'm not gonna say might. It will be cheaper for you. You know what I mean? Yeah. How is La Romana? Pan Americanism. I've never been to La Romana, but I do have a viewer of mine, which is a buddy now. We've been friends for quite some time now. He has an apartment out in La Romana, and I remember when he first bought it. And that's another thing, guys. Real estate appreciates very, very fast in Dominican Republic. When he bought that apartment in La Romana, he paid $50,000 for it, and he got a loan to the bank. And there are banks that will give you loans. You guys have to check out. I put a video out. Maybe it's been a while, man. It's been a while, but I have a list, and check in the community section, because I left a list of banks that will give you loans. And certain criteria you do have to meet, but they will give you a loan. But he bought that apartment. We're talking about 3 years ago at $50,000. This shit is worth over $100,000 now. And this is why it goes back to what I was saying about holding on to my house, only because I know that, yeah, I got two buyers. It's good to put your house on the market just to kind of see and play around. You don't have to sell, but now that I know that my house is desirable, which I knew it would be, I know that in the next couple of years I can really get what I really, really want for it. You see what I'm saying? So, I tell you guys all the time, if you can't afford to build a house, well, your next option should be looking to buy an apartment and sit on it. My friend in La Romana, his is worth 100. Brooklyn Nomad, for those of you guys who know Brooklyn Nomad, my boy that's living out in Thailand, he sold his apartment was in Monte Plata. He got it, I think, for 50. He sold it for 80,000. So his is appreciated within like 2 years or so. So this is what I'm telling you. Real estate appreciates very, very fast. Just choose a city that's up and coming where you're going to see a nice return. Yeah. The truth expert, the beach is about an hour from there, San Cristobal. Not all that. Laugh out loud. You're not the first to tell me that. I wanted to get your perspective because somebody else said that San Cristobal is not all of that either. Yeah, I heard the same thing. Yeah. See, you see me. Like I said, small cities. I come from a small town. Most people think that I'm from Brooklyn. My father's a Harlemite. He came from 125, born and raised 125 in St. Nick. So I got that Harlem shit in me, but I was raised in the suburbs. You know what I mean? So for me, living in a small city, or living up in the mountains, with peace and quiet, that's what I'm accustomed to. You know what I'm saying? So I like the peace and quietness, man. I do. I do. So that's why I prefer living up in the mountains. Nice mountain view. That's just me. But yeah, I heard San Cristobal is not all of that. But you never know. To each his own. You know what I'm saying? What I might not like, somebody else might like. And it's for you to do that research. I could tell you all the cities I didn't visit it. Throughout the 10 years that I've been, going on 10 years. September of this year will make 10 years that I've been traveling to Dominican Republic. But I've been to Samaná. I've been to San Francisco de Macorís, Casa de Cacao. That city is known for producing, chocolate. Santo Domingo, of course. Sosúa, Cabarete, Maimón, Luperón. Where else? Bayaguana. So I have traveled. I really have traveled around. He said, Truth Expert said, it's really third world vibes. Damn. Yeah, that's. Yeah, like I said, I heard that. But I will tell you, if you one of those people that are looking to move to Dominican Republic, especially if you're just living on a fixed income. Let's just say you only living off of your disability, your Social Security. Those places might be ideal for you. You know what I mean? Because it's affordable. You don't want to, and I'm gonna tell you, I've said it time and time again to a lot of you guys. Puerto Plata is a tourist town. Places where there's plenty of expats and tourists. If you are on a fixed income, let's just say, you're only bringing in $1,200 a month, and you got a $300 apartment a month. You're paying $300 a month for your apartment. Expect that price to go up, because eventually you will get priced out. You will get priced out. And I've seen some expats that that are moving, further out. Like, which a lot of expats are now that's in Puerto Plata are moving towards, not Maimón. I think it is Maimón. Yeah, that's moving out towards Maimón because the rent is cheaper out there. Maimón, you can get, apartment, a nice something brand new for about $250 a month. You know what I'm saying? Even my last apartment that I had up in San Marcos, that was a brand new apartment. I was the first tenant in there. My rent, it was a 2-bedroom. I was paying $250 a month, for a brand new apartment. Okay. So when people are telling you that, you can't find an apartment for $200, $300, they now they're becoming far in between, but they're still out there. I found mine's on Marketplace. I found my first apartment. I found on Marketplace. But if you're one of those people that's looking to get an apartment to Airbnb, you want to make sure you have it in a place that's accessible for, your guests that's renting. And also don't, I would say pick a location that's accessible. Like, for instance, I was having a conversation with my landlord, and, she's Dominican, born and raised, but she has her, she lives here in Connecticut, and she's got a lot of business in Puerto Plata. And she told me, she said, you see this neighborhood, she's like, if you would have said Los Coco back in the day, people would be like, are you crazy? But now, Los Coco is up and coming now. You know what I'm saying? I got an apartment there. I feel safe. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they play their loud music and shit on the weekends, but that's part of the Dominican culture. And for those of you guys that like, oh, I don't want to hear loud music, and then why invest in a country where that is part of their culture? Dominicans are accustomed to playing their music loud, you know, playing dominoes, hanging out in the calle and the barrios and shit on the weekends. That's just part of the culture. So if you don't like that, maybe you should stay where you at. You know, and even with the whole, gated communities and stuff like that, I think that, you know, people who stay in these gated, I'm not, listen, everybody, I always say everybody has their own idea how they want to live, but when you are gated in, how do you expect to really, engulf yourself into the culture if you're gated in? You know, it's pointless to me anyway. Like I said, everybody has their own idea. Okay, yeah, my house is up in the campo. It's that area is gonna be up and coming, just like Los Cocos. When my landlord said people was talking shit about that area, now, people are moving in to Los Coco. You know what I'm saying? So, for development in Dominican Republic, it does. You guys hear me? If y'all can hear me, let me know, because somebody was trying to call me. Give me a thumbs up. Somebody let me know if y'all can hear me. I'm not going to keep talking until I know that you guys hear me. If y'all can hear me, let me know that y'all can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Never on the daily, what's going on? Can y'all hear me? Let me know if y'all can hear me or not. Can y'all hear me? I guess y'all can. It's 18 of y'all in here. Be sure to hit the like, hit the share, and hit the subscribe. But yeah, like I was saying about, investing your money in different, different areas. Um, you know, it's up and coming. Certain parts of Puerto Plata, and I'll tell you this: where I bought my land, yeah, it's up in the mountains. It's in a, it's. I put it to you this way: it's a hidden gem. Puerto Plata is small but big, in a sense, because, when I first went to go and see the land, you would never think that there was houses and communities and shit up there. You would never. I appreciate you, David Eason. You would never think that there was houses, and communities up there, and there is like along like the main road that my land is off of. You got villas along the way. I mean, they're spread out, but I'm like, damn, there's villas up here. So I feel like I made a great decision and a great choice when it comes to, purchasing my land, and over time, places that you wouldn't think that they're going to be looking for land. Listen, before you know it, Puerto Plata is going to be a big city, with so many Americans and foreigners investing in. This is why I tell y'all, yo, the time is now. If you got to tap into that 401k, take that money out. If you got to borrow money from the bank, take that money out. you know? And listen, I will be real with you. I could, because like I said, guys, I was going to, I really had my mind set on selling the house. And I got cold feet when I came back home, And when I got that opportunity to buy the land up in Puerto Plata, I said, you know what? When you're faced with an opportunity, good opportunities don't come like that, So I was just like, you know what? I could have easily finished up the crib, but I said, nah, I gotta buy this land. I gotta buy it, Because my thing is this: my house is what, 85% done. The bathrooms are done, the room is done, the pools are done, the first level is done. In actuality, next week because I was going to sell the house. I got an offer to sell it as is. I wasn't going to put no more money into it. But now that I said I'm going to keep it, you know, I'm going to do the kitchen next week. Not next week. In 2 weeks, when I go down there, guys, and I do a vlog with that too, I'm going to go and pick out my cabinets and my countertops and shit like that. I'm picking out all of that stuff because I told my builder, he was like, you know, you want to, you know, asking me what I want. I said, no, bro, I'll wait till I get there because I want to pick out what I want. You know, kitchens, I'm just picky when it comes to a kitchen. My kitchen is not that big. It's not going to cost me a whole lot of money to do the kitchen. But, you know, that's going to be the first thing that you see when you open that door. You know, hit the like button. Hit the like button, guys. I appreciate you, RA. Hit the like button. And don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe. You know, that's going to be the first thing that you see when you walk in. So I told my builder, when I get down there, even though my time is limited, that's one of my main priorities is going to check out kitchen cabinets and the countertops because that's the next thing that I'm going to do is that. And then, you know, the roof, you know, that second level is only going to cost me about, between doing the roof, windows, and the flooring, I'm looking at maybe about 10,000, you know. I must say 10 to 15 because I like what I like. You know what I mean? And I tell you this, if you're building a home, you know, don't get cheap on the finishings, man. Do not get cheap on the finishings. You want your shit, even if it's gonna you know, cost you a little extra money, and maybe even take you a little bit more time. You know, what's the rush? And that's what I'm telling myself. Like, you know, people ask me, "Oh, when's the house gonna be done?" Like, yo, you're not living in it. I am. So there's no reason for me to rush. I got more than enough time. I'm 45 years old, you know. I did say initially I give myself 2 years, you know, to move myself down there full time. But I'm like, you know, there's still money to be made, you know, here in New York. You know, so I'm trying to grind as much as I can now. So once I hit that big 5-0, it's a wrap for your boy J-Day. It's a wrap. I'm out. You know, I'm out. I was talking to, you know, and that's another thing, you know, it's important to be around like-minded. I can't stress that to you guys enough. I will say, you know, since I've, you know, started building my whole journey, I have met a lot of, you know, positive and influential brothers and sisters who are like-minded that, you know, that I ain't got to worry about hating on me. That I ain't got to worry about, you know, praying on my downfall. Because there's a lot of y'all that's just waiting. That's just, you know, people love to hear bad news, you know. Love to hear bad news, you know. I had this one viewer that was just, and I'm like, yo, you're not following me, and you're on my page. Like, bro, if you don't like my content, I didn't ask you to be here. You don't got to be here, you know. You ain't got to be here. You know, and it's crazy because when I look at the analytics, you know, at 100%, I would say, I haven't looked in a while, but I think like 50% of my viewers are from people who don't follow me, but watching me, but don't want to hit the like, just don't want to hit the share, you know. But, you know, it can discourage you. And for those of you guys that's looking to get in this YouTube shit, don't let that discourage you, because people who are going to support you and like you, those are the ones that you should be focusing on, not the ones that are not. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. This is what comes with the territory, you know? And I've been doing this shit for almost 3 years. And I've been transparent with y'all from the gate, you know, because I had people tell me, yo, there's no reason why are you monetized yet? It took me 3 years to get monetized, you know, only because I'm not that dude that's putting cheek, you know, talking about chicas and all of that shit. I'm about my money. You know what I'm saying? I'm about making things happen for myself and trying to, you know, help others to elevate themselves to get on that same page. But when you're not putting out, you know, the kind of content that involves, you know, women and exposing women and shit, I guess you don't get the exposure that everybody else gets. But I'm focusing on me, you know. You know, it is what it is. But it's really important to surround yourself around people who can really help you and give you sound advice, you know? And Shania, she reached out to me. Shout out to Shania if you watching. I appreciate you, man. I really do. You know, she hasn't withheld any information from me at all. And this woman is building 3 projects out in Santo Domingo, and she's doing the damn thing. A sister, you know, and she told me, she said, Jay, you know, don't let people discourage you. She was like, you know, you got people out there, she said, and I'm gonna say it, you got people out there that just hate on you because they can't do what you do. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I listen, I've always there's people out here, there's YouTubers that are way bigger than me, you know, and have been doing this before I have. I know where I'm at, and I'm comfortable in my own lane. I've never been the one to study what the next man is doing, and nor should you. You know what I'm saying? Focus on yourself and elevating yourself. You know, when I first started out, I was a small guy. You know, still am a small guy, but you know, my name rings bells now. Whether it be a good thing or a bad thing, my name rings bells. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't get any support, you know, from a lot of the YouTubers, you know, that was doing this shit before me. I didn't get no support. And the one brother that did support and showed love, and I gotta shout him out because, you know, he kind of reminds me of myself. Solid brother. Never met him in person, but I like his style. I just like his vibe. Shout out to Bo Rakes if you watching, man. Solid brother, man. I do. I like Bo. Bo is a cool dude, you know. I like his vibe. Laid back about his money, you know what I'm saying? Business savvy, you know. And these are the ones that you guys should be learning from. You know, when I first started watching on my YouTube, you know, grind, I mean, you know, watching YouTube and all of that, my inspiration, and I say it all the time, was Red Alert. You know, he was the first brother I know on YouTube to build a house, you know, from the ground up in Sosua. And we're talking about back in, I would say back in 2017, 2018, I think, you know, and he built his crib for about 50K. And the prices, man, back then, oh, man, you know, back in 2017, I wasn't making 6 figures. I'll be real with you. It took time for me to get to where I'm at. And that's why I said, you know, you never judge a book by its cover because you have no idea what the next man's struggle is. People love to look at the exterior but have no fucking idea what a person had to do to get to where they're at. You see what I'm saying? You know? And but back then, you could buy property for 7,000, you know, under 10 grand. You know, that's what the prices was looking like back then in you know, back then. Where I'm talking about 2017, 2018, you know. Things started getting expensive once the pandemic hit, you know. That's when you started seeing prices jump, you know. But there still are, you know, land. There's still land for reasonable prices. And for those and I always try to find, you know, y'all know that. Those of you who know me, you know, I try to find something for everybody, man. Because, you know, not all of us can afford to kick out 20 grand in one whop, 30 grand in one whop. I was one of those brothers. You know, I had an opportunity to buy some land in the center city of Puerto Plata. Man, it was a nice piece of land, man. I wasn't making that kind of bread back then. The shit was like 21,000. I wish, you know, I had that money because I'd be sitting on something in a nice community and everything. This is what the prices was looking like back in the day, you know. But don't let that discourage you guys. For the ones that's, you know, trying to figure out, you know, what they gonna do. And those of you like, damn, is he driving down a runway? Yeah, that dude is crazy. Yeah, but you know, for those of you guys who are, you know, like, damn, I only got 10,000. Yo, just keep saving your money. Keep saving your money. Keep saving. Keep saving. You know, when I first started my project, I didn't have all that. I'm totally honest, and I've been honest with y'all from the gate. When I first started, you know, building my house, I started with only 25,000, guys. I had already had the land, but the foundation and all of that, I only started with 25,000, and look where I'm at now. You know what I'm saying? And I managed to do this shit over 3 years. You know, it takes time. It takes hard work. It takes dedication. It takes a lot of discipline. You know what I'm saying? But I did it. You know, if you got to stop traveling for a couple of years just to save your money, why not do it? It's an investment. It's going to pay off later on. I tell you guys that all the time, that like you got to make sacrifices. If you're traveling, think about it. If you travel in the DR 3 times a year, just calculate how much between the flight, the rental car, the entertainment, the chicas. You're looking at anywhere between 2 to 3,000. Because some of you brothers like to ball out. I've never been that. Never been that. You know what I'm saying? But you're looking at anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000 every time you travel down there. And if you're doing that, 3 times a year, that's like $6,000. You know what I'm saying? That's $6,000. So if you can, sacrifice for a year or 2 years, maybe even 3 years, you done got yourself about $18,000 to $20,000. And then you can go ahead and start doing something. I'm blessed because people ask me, yo, Jay, what do you do? How you manage as a single person to do this, to make it happen. I do work for the city. My job, I get a lot of overtime. If I just wanted to work at my job, just to do overtime at one job, I could do that. But it's not feasible for me to do that because after a certain amount of overtime, you don't see it. You see what I'm saying? You don't see it. So I don't do no more than 3 days of overtime in a week, So in a 2-week period, I got like six days of overtime in the bag. You know what I'm saying? And then I got another job taking care of an autistic dude. You know what I'm saying? And I do that 20 hours a week. So that's 40 hours every 2 weeks. And then I got my window cleaning business that I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? And I gotta give my uncle his flowers. He taught me a skill, and that has enabled me to make an extra, 1,000 to, I could put it this way. I'm comfortable with what I'm making with my window cleaning business, but if I wanted to make more money, trust and believe you me, I can. But I'm tired. I can only do but so much. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to burn myself out. But with the window cleaning business, I average about anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a month. And we're talking about cash money here, and I'm doing storefronts and shit. You know what I'm saying? I'll show you. You see these poles? These are my window cleaning poles. I got my bucket and shit in the back. You know what I'm saying? So, I tell people, if you really want this shit, you got to hustle. You got to hustle. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Clint Johnson, how close are you to La Catalina restaurant, the new land in El Coupe? Yo, Clint, bro, I'm like 15 minutes away, bro. In actuality, if you guys know, there's another, they got this restaurant up near El Coupe. It's like a Greece theme. The whole restaurant is like, it looks like it looks like Greece, a mini Greece. What they did up there is just crazy. You got panoramic views and all of that. And my house is literally 10 minutes from that restaurant. Once, Clint, you know as well as I know, once they start fixing those roads going from, because El Coupe it's long. It starts at San Marcos, and it goes all the way around up in the back. And there's a lot, back up in there, there's a lot of land back up in there. A lot. So I'm in a great location, and along the way, like going towards my property, you got developments that's being done on the left and on the right-hand side. You know what I'm saying? So in a matter of time, man, my land, I paid $19,500 for it, but if I wanted to sell it in about 3 years, I know I could triple my profit on that easily. Especially having fruit trees, I got lime. I got oranges. I got bananas. I've got soursop. I've got a medicinal tree. I've got guava. I've got guayaba. I've got a lot of fruit trees on my land just to make money off of it alone. I got palm trees, you know? Yeah. So the property that I purchased, it's a win-win for me. I don't got to plant shit. It's already there. HR, was it hard to find a good contractor for the construction, and was the price to your liking? Honestly, HR, it was very hard. I had to go. I went through. It's I have no regrets in this. You live and you learn. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm in a position to whereas I could really help people build what they want to build at an affordable price. I got 2 projects coming up, and I'm not gonna say more than that. You guys will see. You will see. I had to go through three maestros, contractors, to find that diamond in the rut. You see what I'm saying? And the diamond in the rut is somebody that is well knowledgeable and experienced at what he does. And he put it this way: we're gonna be knocking everybody out of the box. Once y'all see these projects coming up, you will see. I'm not gonna talk about it. I'm just gonna let y'all know. I got 2 projects coming up. 2 of my viewers on the channel that's about to get their house built. We're talking about towards the end of the year. So y'all are gonna see. I'm gonna be showcasing everything step by step so that y'all can see what's being done. And then at that point, you make your choice. When you're dealing with these contracting companies, a lot of these contracting companies are in the business to make money. They don't like doing small homes and shit like that. In which my builders, he'll do it as small as you want. And the tiny home movement is getting big because as we get older, some of us, first of all, there's a lot of us that can't afford a big ass house. That's one. 2, as we get old, less is more. You know what I'm saying? So you got people that don't want a big house because of having to maintenance it and all of that. You know what I'm saying? So, when you're dealing with these contracting companies, they are out to make money. They're out to make money. So, you have to weigh it out. I put it to you this way. Let me read your comment. I bought land in Puerto Plata, now just looking for a contractor, 370 square meters. HR, you might need to reach out to me, my brother or sister. I don't know if you're a female or male, but if you wanna talk, 347-740-6350. Message me on WhatsApp. Yeah, message me on WhatsApp. If you have your architectural plans and everything in place, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And I always tell you guys, shop around so that you have an idea of what you're looking. What numbers are being thrown at you. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know. A lot of us, our issue is, by the time, as soon as we touch ground, the clock is ticking. You know what I mean? So a lot of us don't have the kind of time that we would like, to shop around. So we're limited. We're limited, But if you can, you should be, looking at least no less than 3. No less than 3. You know what I mean? Contractors, just so you have an idea. And a lot of these contractors love to pitch to you. Oh, what do you want? High quality finishings, mid quality, low. It's no such fucking thing. You know what I mean? That's just a gimmick and a scam. To get people to, when it comes to your finishings, that's one thing about us. You have the choice of picking whatever you want because that's your money. You know what I'm saying? But you can get, if you look at my house, the finishings are high quality pretty much, and it didn't break the bank. So you have to make sure whoever you're looking to hire, don't let them pull the okie doke on you and telling you there's high quality, there's standard, and there's mid quality. that shit is all the same. You know, it really is. His builder is worth it. Definitely get in touch with him. Do your due diligence first. 89 watts. I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. You know, it's been a long time coming for me, guys, but I just want y'all to know, like, I've always, you know, part of the reason why I started this whole channel is because in the beginning, you know, I didn't have nobody to help me. You know what I'm saying? Because let's just be honest and real. And a lot of these expats can attest to this shit. You know, some of these expats are worse than the locals, man. You know, you think they trying to help you, they only looking to help themselves. And that's what I have encountered. And that's why I said, you know what? I'm going to do this shit on my own, you know? And if I had to be the test dummy in order, and I have taken losses, I say it all the time. Yes, I have taken losses. I done been through 3 builders, you know, to get that diamond in the rut. But you know what? I can't even complain, because now that I got what I have, I could really help those who are looking. You know what I'm saying? Really help. And that was important to me. That was really important to me. You know, making sure everybody gets a fair deal. You know what I'm saying? Because you got a lot of these expats out there just to make, and it shouldn't be that way. You know, you should be paving the way for the next man and woman that's coming in. You know, that's just my motto. You know, my grandmother always said, you catch more bees with honey. You know what I'm saying? If you do the right thing, you know? And I'm always about doing the right thing. I am. I believe in karma. I do. The shit that you do in life, whether it's good or bad, it's going to come back to you. It's going to come back. You know, I have a conscience. That's why when I got into that car accident, you know, a lot of y'all was like, oh, you shouldn't pay. And listen, it wasn't even about, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't getting gringoed. You know what I mean? I was willing to take full responsibility of what happened. You know what I'm saying? And I paid that man his money. I paid him and moved on. You know what I'm saying? This too shall pass. And it has passed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But yeah, it's very important, guys, that, you know, you do your due diligence. And, you know, I hate to say it, but, you know, you gotta sleep with one eye open and one eye closed when you're dealing with some of these people in Dominican Republic. Take it from somebody who has been through it. Trust me. You know, you have to be very, very careful. And, you know, I understand why a lot of people are afraid to invest their money. You know, you should be. You should be, you know. Even when you are dealing with a reputable contractor, sometimes you get screwed over with them. You know, I've heard stories, you know, personally, you know, people investing in pre-constructions, and, you know, they're pitching to them that it's going to be done this way. And, you know, when it's all said and done, the pool is going to be huge. And, you know, after it's all said and done, you got a small ass pool, you know, things like this, you know. So, you guys just got to be careful, to say the least. Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe, guys. It's 17 of y'all in here. I'm going to need 17 likes. I got time today. What's the updated price to build per meter? See, and that's another thing, you know, building per meter, Clint, and you should know that, man. That's an American mentality. Dominicans never built that way, ever. First of all, they couldn't afford to build per square meter. You know, what has happened is that a lot of these foreigners have come into Dominican Republic and started implementing that building per square meter. You understand? With us, you bring us your architectural plans, you buy your materials, and you pay us to build. And that's how it should be. That's how it should be done, because that is the Dominican way. Dominicans never had money to just build a fucking house in 6 months in one shot. Let's just be honest. You know, I did it the Dominican way. I'm not rich, and I never proclaimed to be rich. Never did. I always told y'all I'm doing this phase by phase, step by step. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I did. You know, so if you are, you know, going to these contractors, that's what they're going to tell you. Oh, $100 per square meter, $200 per square meter, $300 per square meter. I don't do that per square meter shit. I don't. That's not how I work. You know, it's not. I'm just being real with y'all. You know, and not just that. You know, because I already said, okay, you know, once I'm done with my house, and I'm gonna be like I said, I like to be transparent with y'all, only because I'm hoping what I'm telling you is giving you that motivation. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm telling y'all, if I could do this shit, anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. You know what I'm saying? One of my people said, "Nah, but Jay, you make it look easy. You have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. I have done a lot of sacrificing. You know what I'm saying? I've done a lot of sacrificing, guys. Y'all have no idea. And I be transparent with y'all because, you know, I want to see y'all. I want to see y'all win. This one brother said, it's lonely at the top. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if I'm winning and helping others to win, there's no reason for anybody to hate on me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Last I heard is $900 per. Clint, that's astronomical, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. That is crazy. I put it to you this way. One of our viewers, we're doing I think I gotta find out. I don't wanna say the wrong square meters, but put it this way, we're doing him a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, second 2-level home for $80,000 in Puerto Plata. That's what we doing. 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a pool, second level, 2 floors for 80 grand in Puerto Plata. And y'all gonna see it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna see. You know, so that $900 per meter is some bullshit. Some bullshit, Clint. You need them? I bet you do. You got my number, Clint. I got the plug now. And if y'all see, when I first came down to Puerto Plata, I showed y'all his first construction. And this is his sister's. This is my apartment. My apartment was done for $15,000. 15,000 USD. It was done. 1 bedroom, 35 square meters. That's the size of my apartment. It's small little bachelor pad, but everything that I need. Everything that I need. I'm good on that. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm good on that. But it just kind of gives you an idea, you know, of what you can do, you know what I'm saying, with your money. You know? Yeah. And when my people, I can honestly say I'm the plug. I promise you that. Promise y'all that. And I'm so happy to be able to tell y'all this, man. You know, because ideally, you know, this is why I feel like all of what I have done and experienced, it wasn't in vain. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't. And I've been through some shit. You know what I mean? I've been through some shit. And I got a story to tell. I definitely have a story to tell, but right now it's not my time. You know, I'm going to wait till everything is all said and done. And I'm going to sit down with a big old bottle of Hennessy and just start spilling it. You know? Because y'all need to know. You know what I'm saying? Y'all need to know. The good, the bad, and the fucking ugly. You know? But Clint, you ready? You got my number, Clint. Just reach out to me. Let's talk. Let's talk. Yeah. But you know, things are looking up, and you know, hey, who's to say? Maybe I might be down there before I'm 50, the way things is going now. You know what I'm saying? And all I ever wanted to do, man, is just have the quality of life that I think we all deserve, you know? And I'm not greedy. I'm not a greedy man. I listen, I make enough money to where I'm okay. So there's no need for me to be greedy at all, you know? I'm genuinely here to help people. Yeah, I got to make a living for myself, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not here to kill people like a lot of these contractors and expats are trying to do out here in these streets. You know? It's just the truth. And all of what I spent, you know, I spent out of pocket. I told y'all in the beginning, I started out with $25,000 and I borrowed $15,000 from the bank. And I paid that $15,000 that I borrowed. Honestly, guys, That should be paid off next year. I got one more year in that loan to be paid off, you know? So, you know, if you gotta, and I will tell you, if you're gonna borrow, it's better you borrow from the credit union, because that's where I borrow. You get a lower interest rate, and I borrow 15,000, right? And I pay every month $320. They take $175, $70 out of my check every 2 weeks. The overtime and shit that I do, I don't even see it. You know what I'm saying? I don't even see it. So, you know, it can be done, guys. It can be done. Overtime, you know, hard work, dedication, discipline. You know, it's to the point where I'm sleeping in my fucking living room and got a roommate and let him take over my room. Because for one, I'm barely there to enjoy the fucking apartment. You know, I had to come to reality. I'm like, yo, you working 2-3 jobs. What time do you really have to enjoy this motherfucker? You might as well just go ahead and rent it out. And that's what I did. You know, I'm keeping it real with y'all. You know, my living room is big enough for me to sleep in there. I got all my shit packed up, you know what I'm saying? And I'm good. I'm okay. You know what I mean? You know, this is only temporary. It's only temporary. And that's what you guys need to tell yourself. When you're working hard, you know, it's only temporary. And I say work, you know, it's okay to work hard, but work smart at the same time. What's up, bro? What's going on, Straight Python? For those of you guys that just joined it, be sure to hit the like, hit the share, and subscribe. Clint Johnson, my blueprints be done for 2 years. All right, so you know what, Clint? Are you in the States? Where you at? You in the Carolinas, or you in Puerto Plata? Let me know. Cause as I said, I'll be out there on Friday, and if any of you guys, Caveman, what's up, bro? What's going on? I appreciate you joining in. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe. Yeah, if you're gonna be in Puerto Plata, man, let me know. I can always link you with my builder. It's not a problem. You know, let him check out your blueprints, and you know, give you that quote that you look at, that you know you can get. You in South Carolina? Okay, all right. Well, next time let me know next time you in Puerto Plata, because now, you know, I can fly. I'm trying to make trips down there every 2 months. You know, it won't be long. It won't be a long stays, only because I was just there for a month. I got to be realistic. You know what I'm saying? I can't be down there doing too much, because I got to make the money while I'm here. You know what I mean? So that I can continue doing what I got to do. But ideally, you know, I want to be. I plan on making at least. This will be Friday. This will be my second trip this year. I'll probably do maybe about 2 or 3 more trips before the year is out. You know, ideally, that's what I like to do. So yeah, you got my number, Clint. Just holla at me, man. Just holla at me. Caveman, what's going on? Urban Alien 247. Hold on, that's my roommate. He ain't even see me. He ain't even see me. Was just in Puerto Rico thinking that same thing, land and property. Well, what was you thinking about Puerto Rico? Buying in Puerto Rico? You know, what was you thinking? I've been to Puerto Rico twice, and I say it again. It's not for me. It's not for me. It's not a vibe. DR is a vibe, you know. DR, the locals are more welcoming, and you know, now I see why. And listen, I ain't got nothing against my Boricuas, because I got Puerto Rican friends. My mother's best friend is Puerto Rican. She's living in Puerto Rico right now. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing. Like, once I'm down there, I got somewhere to go. If I want to jump on that boat and head to Puerto Rico, I got peoples in Puerto Rico. It's not a problem. But to live there and to invest there is not an option for me. Only because it just doesn't give you the kind of vibe that DR does. You know? Especially being in like San Juan, like I felt like, you know, the locals were a little bit, you know, uppity. You know what I mean? I'm there trying to embrace the culture and shit. You know, speaking my at the time, my 35% Spanish, and the Uber driver was like, oh, I speak English. And I was like, well, damn, you know, you ain't have to come at me like that. You know, like you should appreciate that you got a a foreigner that's coming in. Well, not even a foreigner, because Puerto Rico is part of the United States, but you got an outsider coming in trying to embrace the culture. Like embrace that, But I just didn't get that, and even just walking around, like I found it that the locals weren't as friendly as the Dominican locals. You know what I'm saying? I mean, my experience might be different from y'all's, but that's just my experience, and I've been there twice, and that's enough for me to say, nah, I couldn't live here. Urban alien buying a fixer upper. Okay. In Puerto Rico, Rico Luaz Lazul. What's going on, Rico? I appreciate you. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe. I just bought about 1,500 square meters in Sosua. I'm going to try to build my house by myself. Okay. Listen, if you can do it, hats off to you, man. Good luck. I do know a few brothers that's going that route. I wish I did know construction. You know what I mean? I wish I did. Cause you save yourself a lot of money if you're able to do that, man. Save yourself a lot of money. Urban alien, yeah, I had a different experience, but I've never been to DR yet. I heard DR is nice. Yeah, urban alien, man, you gotta visit. You gotta come and visit. Like I said before, if you missed what I said earlier, my one of my coworkers is Puerto Rican, and he just visited DR for the first time, and he told me, he said, man, like I grew up in Puerto Rico. I used to go every summer, and stay with his family and stuff. And he said DR is just a total vibe. He said it, and this is coming from a Boricua. He's just like, yo, DR is just better, It is, in a sense. Like, even when you go to the beaches, the playa, and I've been to the beaches in Puerto Rico. You cannot go to the beach and get service on the beach. Pina coladas and pescado and fish, and they don't do that shit in Puerto Rico, man. They don't do that. In Dominican Republic, every beach, mainly almost every beach, you could go to the beach and chill out in the beach chairs and get a nice service, sip on your cocktail, play your music, umbrella and all of that. They don't offer that in Puerto Rico. And even in the rivers, you go on the weekends, they got outdoor kitchens where you can hire the locals to cook for you and shit. That's the kind of vibe that you get in Dominican Republic. That's unmatched to me, Send me a link to come on and share. Let me see. Clint, I'm not on StreamYard, bro. I'm on my live, and let me see something. Hold on. Okay, I'm copying the link now. I copied it. Hold on, guys. Let me see if I could. Hold up. Link. Clint, send me a message, and then I'll send you the link. I just copied it. Just send me a message, and that will enable you to come on. Let's chop it up. Yeah, because I haven't had you on in a minute, bro. It's been a minute. Clint, if you can hear me, send me a message, bro. Send me a message, and I'll send you the link, and that way I could bring you on. But yeah, man, DR is just a different vibe in comparison to Puerto Rico. And not just that, you got a lot of foreigners that are moving in. If you're looking to invest in Dominican Republic, I would say do your research, find out, and when you're doing your research, think about, the expats and also the locals too. There's this one brother, he's a viewer of mine. He's a viewer, I forgot, Cortez. Shout out to Cortez, man. Cortez, bro, I was out there. What's your WhatsApp? 347-740-6350. Cortez is an expat that's been living in Dominican Republic for some time now. He's been out there. Cortez is actually Jamaican. He's been living out there for about I say, as long as I've known, maybe about 4 or 5 years, maybe even longer than that. But this brother, okay, he's down there making. He's doing his thing. I gotta say it. The man is doing his thing, and he's supplying another expat with liquor and shit for his little spot. And what he did was, the community that he lives in, he opened up a fucking Kamado. Open up a Kamado. And I went to the Kamado. I went for the first time. And the crazy part about it is, before I went there, I had hooked up with another viewer and her husband. Shout out to Colleen and Ricardo. I hooked up with them, and because Ricardo, he's a police officer. He's a Dominican cop. Speaks English very. Oh, Clint, you can't call me, bro. You can't call me. Can y'all hear me? Hold on, guys. Can y'all hear me? Hold on 1 minute. Hold on 1 minute. Hold on, y'all.